midweek conversation. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and the three of us are so looking forward to catching up and having a good old chat. If you haven't watched us before, we are three narrowboat vloggers who just love to get together once a week and just sit down and mull over a topic, a subject, and just like see where it takes us and see what we can find out. So my name is Lisa, and my channel is called A Life Full of Meaning. We have Paul here from, my God, Paul had a mental
life unlocked.
Yeah. Unlocked, yeah. No, I know. Just as I said it, I was like, and Maxine from Never Too Late, our journey as well. I tell you what, it has been so long, almost a month, I think, isn't it? Is it like 3 weeks or something? Yeah. It has been a time. So, boy, am I glad we're getting together. Before we start today's topic, let's have a bit of a catch up. What have we been up to? Paul, you go first.
Well, we've been stuck up in Yorkshire for 6 months on the border of Yorkshire and Lancashire. Yeah. And the breach was opened last week, so we managed to travel, and boy, did we make up for time. We travelled 43 miles and went through 20 locks in 3 days.
Wow.
So, yeah, we probably travelled more in that 3 days than 6 months combined, the last 6 months. But, we had drama, we had some laughs, but we enjoyed every minute of it. It was fabulous.
Brilliant.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What about you, Maxine?
Well, we managed to get out of the marina because obviously we'd moved on and we were stuck in because there was a bridge repair. But so we left and it snowed, which was different. But we didn't care. We were just pleased to be cruising around, and we've just thoroughly enjoyed the last few weeks cruising around. My parents have been down to see us, which has been fantastic. Nice. And yeah, we're really, really enjoying. We've had a few hiccups.
That is excellent. Well, we picked up our new boat, narrowboat Teal, and cruised from Tamworth to Milton Keynes in the gorgeous Easter sunshine. I mean, it was just beautiful. It really was. There was a few dramas with the fridge, with the shower, all these things that Glenn's going to sort out. And that's been good. Also, been filming this game show that I can't tell you anything about. This has taken up so much time, and this weekend is like the grand final. So hopefully, once that's filmed and once it's aired, I can tell you all about it. But it's been very exciting times. So that's what we've all been up to. Hello to everybody who is joining us. Kat from California. It's 4 a.m. and snoring dog woke me up. Is that Gigi? Is that? I'm sure she's a Chihuahua. Is her snoring waking you up? So morning to everybody. So today's subject. I planned this, didn't we? We said we'd talk about this on our last conversation, and it's about aging. Okay, getting older. And there's so much I want to explore and talk about aging. But when we decided we were going to talk about this, we didn't know that today, the day we'd be talking about it, is Her Majesty the Queen's 96th birthday. So what a flipping fabulous day to talk about aging. Okay, this right, strap yourself in, guys. Let's get down to it. I've got to admit, I only just realized a couple of months ago that I was holding some quite negative views about getting older, and once I realized I was holding these views, it was then that thing of like, well, do I take this as this is what getting older is, or do I challenge myself with those views? So I want this to be a really positive conversation, but let's start with the toughest question of all. What scares you about getting older? Let's get that one out the way before we can then take a turn for more positive. Paul, what scares you about getting older?
Oh, when you mentioned this subject, I was really worried. And like you, Lisa, I thought there's going to be so many negative things about aging. But having to think about it, there are quite a lot of positives.
Yeah.
You know, the way you view life. But what scares me the most, I think, it's got to be the obvious, isn't it? Is losing loved ones and friends that you formed over the years. But then I'm probably older than them, so I don't have to worry about that.
Keep young friends.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Like that.
Yeah, just fall out with people because, like, I'm sorry, but you're getting old. And
It's too old. Off you go.
I won't be able to stand it when you've gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, my nan had Alzheimer's and my mum's had tests for Alzheimer's, and I've always been worried. And Anthony jokes about my short-term memory, and it is getting worse. I think that really. I think. Oh, I don't want to sound too down. What scares me about getting old? Yeah, I don't think I'm scared of death so much. I hope that's a long way away. But yeah, it is losing loved ones. You know, especially sort of parents and people who are elderly relatives. How difficult that would be. But yeah, apart from that, mobility. Especially being on an hour boat, you know, it's hard work. I was aching in the weekend that we moved the boat, and you know, sore knee and sore back, and it's I don't want to be at a point where we can't travel, as you know, and see the world, and also still enjoy the boat. Yeah.
Yeah, good points, Paul. What about you, Maxine? What scares you about getting older?
I think the only two really things that scare me, because I'm not scared about getting old as such, is, as I think Paul's just said, about family, like losing my parents, because that it doesn't scare me, but I am very, very close to them, so that would obviously be devastating. And also keeping fitness and wealth and being well, because especially now changing our complete lifestyle, I wouldn't want to be getting ill so that I can't carry on living the way we have decided to start living. And so they're the only really two things that scare me.
Interestingly, all those topics are mine. You know, mine is health. Mine is, you know, friends and family. Mine is loneliness is well, and I add loneliness in because for a while I did a stint as a carer, going into elderly people's homes and helping them, you know, get dressed or go to bed or, you know, cook a meal and the loneliness I encountered, you know, with those people was a shock, you know. So all those things that you've said, plus loneliness, loss of mobility, all of those. I wonder if they are common fears. You know, the fact that all three of us have got those. I wonder if that will, you know, there are fears. So,
yeah. That's a good one, Lisa, really.
Yeah.
Loneliness is something I never thought of. And I suppose that is one thing as we get older, you could end up being lonely. And I think your tolerance reduces as you get older. So I don't want to be the grumpy old man that sort of like no one comes to visit because I'm like, oh, the weather's rubbish and I'm sick, I'm aching. I'm going the doctors. And it's sort of you can sort of understand why family drift and people don't want to visit those people who are very negative as they get older. I think loneliness, that's a big one.
It was a real shock when I'd see people who hadn't got friends, they hadn't got people that would pop in, they had no way of getting out in the world, and they weren't online, they were alone. They wouldn't speak to people. When I'd go in and see someone, some of them hadn't spoken to someone since their last carer had gone in, you know. So that really opened my eyes. So that's our fears. Now let's get to the positive stuff, because I think there are positives. In fact, I'm sure there are, because I've been looking for them. Because when I realised, and it was health that triggered mine. So as I think, people know who've watched our vlog, my dad was ill for a very long time, a slow, horrible decline in health. And I started to experience, my knees and my joints and my blood sugar and my high blood and all this. And I thought, it's history repeating itself. And I thought it was a dead cert, if you like. It was a dead cert that I was going to travel that path. And I've realised it's not. And there actually are some great things about getting older. So the first one I want to say is, I am loving being the age I am now. I'm loving it. It's a great time of life. I feel a lot of freedom for many things, actually, but obviously my children have grown, they've left home. I'm free to have adventures, on narrow boats or in little houses or whatever. I've got way more choice now and freedom, and I think I feel less encumbered by society now. Does that make sense? Did that just make sense? I'm wondering if I carry on this trajectory, by the time I get into my 60s, 70s and 80s, oh man, like the world is my oyster. This is what I'm going for. So my question, and I think there is a question in there, is how do you feel, let's call us middle-aged, right? There's how do you feel now about your age, and as you look forward with positivity and enthusiasm, how does that feel to you? Paul, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I think life goes so quickly. I remember when I was about 14 seeing a lad that I knew in school because I knew his brother, and I thought, oh, look at him, he's really old now, he's 16. Yes. And I say to the kids on my shows, it's my nan's birthday today, how old do you think she is? And she's like, and they're like, the kid's like 30. And I said, is that really old? And they go, yeah, it's really old. And I'm like, how do I feel? Yeah, I think being this age brings life lessons, doesn't it? I think I've become more assertive, or tried to be more assertive, but still in a friendly way. I've seen my friends who are quite assertive and probably, I think, a bit rude. But the older I get, I think actually they're not being rude. If you demand good service and you don't want to get ripped off, and you've booked a flight and you've booked a seat on a plane, and they try and change it at the last minute and put you in a economy because you've booked first class, which I've never done. But stand your ground. Don't be soft and don't be a pushover. And I think, I am a bit worried that I'm going to turn into that grumpy man. I'm digressing. I'm the person that goes to a shop, and if the two assistants in the shop are talking to each other, it really winds me up. And I walk out, and I always say it thinking, I'm going to get out before they have time to respond. I'm like, thanks for thanks for treating me like a customer and a human being. I'm really digressing here. What was your question again?
I think the thing is, or what I'm hearing from you is that not being afraid to stand up and be who you are and know what's important to you. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. And I think we've all got to this age, and it's quite funny how you speak to other boaters, and they've all got around our age, which the three of us by that I mean, and they've thought, or if not younger, and they've suddenly realized that life isn't about possessions and all the stuff we've talked about before, flash cars, big houses. It's about having fun, having adventure, making the most of the time that we've got on this planet. And I think that's why we did what we did, which was to sell the house. We had a lovely house. We enjoyed it. But we just thought there's more to life than this, going to work and having a house. And buying the boat for us has been the best thing we've done. It's been such an adventure. And so I think, not being scared as well, of taking that step, because I think as you get older as well, you realise what's the worst that can happen. Nobody's going to die. I remember being really stressed about my exam results and thinking, I've not done as well as I thought, and thinking it's the end of the world. I'm never going to get a job. But now I look back at that and think it was quite laughable, but I can understand why, as a 16-year-old, it was the end of the world. It was the end of, I don't know. I thought it was the end of the world because I hadn't done great in my exams. So I'm going
worry
on.
less. Worry less. What about you, Maxine? What going forward? What, I can't even remember the question that we initially started asking.
How do you feel at this age? How do you feel?
This age now.
I think, mine's definitely like Heidi from Narrowboat Parrot. She says, I still think I'm 23 and I look in the mirror. I wonder who it is looking back at me. I totally agree. I look in the mirror and I can see my mother. Which is not a bad thing because she's a lovely lady. But I think that's it. I do feel younger than I am. I don't care about getting old because I just want to be able to live life to the full. And I think that's why we've done what we've done, and we've sold up, and it's probably a bit selfish, but you've only got one life, and that's my motto, is you live it. And so, we're absolutely loving what we're doing now, and it is a big life change and everything like that, and it is probably selfish because we've just gone away from people that we were seeing regularly and things like that. But you've got to go and do what makes you happy, because we're not on this earth for that long. And we're now, as you say, middle-aged. In fact, if anything, we're getting closer to the last few, or hopefully tens of years, but not that many. And I want to make sure we make the most of it, and probably more so because Steve and I obviously met later on in life, so we haven't had as long together as previously. So we want to make the most of what life we've got left together and make fantastic memories.
That's some really points, Maxine. One is just about it's probably selfish. I have this theory in life, selfish we are, and usually brings some more joy, and that is the gift to the world of us walking through our day joyfully. So I'm a big advocate for a certain amount of selfishness, because if we're happy, I feel it's a gift. It is a gift for everybody we meet in our day. So that's the way I justify it to myself anyway. So
that's nice, Lisa.
So I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments. Just morning to everybody. Kath, thought I'd missed you by you being live. Oh dear, aging, not my favourite subject. Come on, Kath, we can get through this. This is going to be about the positive aspects. Mick, I'm constantly struggling with my body's inability to do what my mind thinks it can, and everything takes a little longer. That's that whole thing, isn't it? Of it's like my glasses. I now need them. I can't see without them, and that frustrates me somewhat. So I didn't. I still think I'm 23. You said that, didn't you, Maxine?
I do. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. Kath also said, I think you've covered my fears: losing people I love, the consequent loneliness, worry me. But I think they are common. They're common fears. So, and everybody watching, I would love to hear your views on this next question. Who are your older role models? Who are just living so well as they get older, and you just think, I want to be like that? Have you got anyone that springs to mind? Paul, Maxine, have you got anyone? Well, obviously the Queen. I mean, she's 96. She's like, she still puts in a full day's work.
I was going to say the Queen, and also people who carry themselves with grace and dignity. People like Barack Obama, I think. And I hope I don't upset any American viewers by mentioning presidents. But yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I sent you that DVD of Satish Kumar, and I think his take on life is just eye-opening, I think. So people like that, I can't think of anyone else. Can you think of anyone, Lisa?
I've got a list. I've been notching them up. When I see people, I think, yeah, that's what I want to be doing. Iris Apfel. Do you know Iris? With the glasses and all the bangles.
Oh, yes.
She's a style icon. I mean, there's Dame Judi Dench.
Yes.
I mean, you know, to me, I want to be careful about associating aging with looking good. It's not that like she looks great for her age, that's why I admire her, but you know, she's working and she's living, and you know, Richard is it not Richard Attenborough, David Attenborough. I always get the two confused, but you know, again, someone in their 90s just like still got that passion to contribute. I look at people, not famous people, but I look at people, you know, that I meet. Our friends, Sarah and Paul. Paul's mum and dad, oh man, their life. They live over in Spain. They're fit, they're healthy, they've got a great life. And I look at them, they've got a great mindset as well. And I think, yeah, that's what I want. So there's loads. Maxine, have you got any?
Yeah, it's mainly like family and things like that. I mean, my parents, I must admit, because they have an amazing life. They just do what they want when they want. They go on wonderful holidays and walk. I mean, they're both, well, in fact, my dad's 80 this year, but they do. I mean, they both walk 5-6 miles a day and think nothing of it. And even though they have ailments, they just get it's mindset. They've got it into their mind that we're going to stay healthy so that we can carry on doing everything like that. And I think that's just a fantastic way to look at things. And I want to make sure, and my grandma did exactly, I mean, I said to you earlier, she was 92 before she passed, and she was still driving up till, I think she was early 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. She shouldn't have been really, because she wasn't the best. She used to make us giggle, the stories that she used to come back with. Yeah. But she used to toddle off just to Morrison's and things like that to do her shopping, but it kept her mind going. That's why she wouldn't ever give up. And I think that's the way to look at everything, is to make, if you've still got your mind and you can carry on being as positive as possible, then that's the way to go.
Yeah. I've got another example, but I just want to have a look at some of these. So Kath said Miriam Margolyes. I know who you mean. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, he's living the best life outrageously. Oh,
he's fantastic.
Yeah. Neil says, I was watching last night about the chap who plays Ken Barlow. I hope to have his looks and energy when I turn his age. Yeah, that absolutely. Is Ken Barlow still in Coronation Street?
Oh, I don't watch it.
I don't
know, but you know,
I saw him in the Trafford Centre and he looked all right then.
Really? Oh, that's fantastic. Neil Smith makes a good point again about our bodies like not quite keeping up with us. He said, I had a long walk along the canal this morning near Pitstone. I was so excited and had everything planned for filming, but was shattered at the end of it. I wish my body was as young as my mind. Yeah. So, yeah. So I had a conversation with someone going through the locks at Braunston, and it was such a the conversation continued at the pub. So it was a good one. So we were traveling up the locks. We're at the bottom lock at Braunston, and this lady came into the lock with us, and she had this look of pure terror. I know the look because I quite often do it. You know, this sort of like, oh, you know. And she'd obviously not planned that her husband. She'd planned that her husband was going to navigate the boat through the lock, but then they arrived, and we'd just got in, and they had arrived, and she ended up pulling in beside us. She was like, it was that sort of real fear in her face. I was like, it's all right, we're going to take it slow, it'll be fine. By the time we got to the top of the locks, she was absolutely fine. But her story was fascinating. So she was a GP, so a doctor, and her husband was telling me that up until the age of 40, she had a fear of water, and she has since gone on to get her powerboat license to drive a narrowboat. There was other boat craft licenses that she'd done, and she also now does open water, cold in a river swimming.
Blimey.
And I was just in awe of this lady. She was in her late 50s, presently in her late 50s, and that she'd done all these things by overcoming this fear of water in her 40s. When most people, we have our fears and we're like, no, I don't like that. That's, and we're quite happy to sort of, settle back. But she challenged them and gone on to do all these things, including navigating this narrowboat that they'd just bought through these locks. And she was saying that she feels that scaring herself is important. It's important to keep her, she gets a thrill from it, from overcoming it, from learning new things, and for challenging her fears. And I found she was just so lovely to talk to. And she was also sharing that her mother-in-law is in her 90s, still has an allotment. And then she said that her mother-in-law, although the allotment's quite close, she drives to the allotment because after she's worked on the allotment, she's so tired, sometimes she takes the car back. And I was just like, there's so much to love in all of that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I was in awe. I was in awe at that. So they're role models. Random strangers that I meet, I will gather all these people as my role models. So
can I just make a point, Lisa? It's funny, I think we are living longer, aren't we? As a race, we're living a lot longer, as a species, I should say. But, do you remember the Golden Girls?
Yes.
Did you read that the people in the Golden Girls, all the actresses were the same age as the girls in Sex and the City?
No.
Were they?
Yeah. And I was gobsmacked when I heard that. How different from 20 or 30 years ago that, they've seen them as really old and fidgety and living in a sheltered accommodation to the girls on Sex and the City. Sorry, I just scared the dog.
Shocked at that.
Yeah.
Well, that says a lot about how society views people in their 40s and 50s and how they are changing, how society's views are changing, because we don't really even see 70s as old, now that I know so many people in their 70s that are living full and really great lives. So
and we met a chap who's 81 and he's still solo boating, and he's 81.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. It is. Yeah, it's a good one. It's good. So
I think,
go on.
I was just going to say, when you're saying about that, like you were saying about making yourself do things that scare you, I totally agree with that, because I am a real wimp. But Steve books stupid things to do, and I would usually say no. But when you've done it, it just gives you such a buzz and everything, and you want to go and do things, different things after, just to get you that buzz. So definitely keep doing things.
It's even like roller coasters, isn't it? You go on a roller coaster, you think, oh, I don't like heights, but you get off it and you're just buzzing afterwards.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it, isn't it? I mean, I have this sort of love-hate feeling with a comfort zone. I mean, it's called a comfort zone for a reason, isn't it? It's bloody comfortable. That's what it is. It's like, I like it. It's comfortable. But you're right, doing stuff that scares you, it's a fine line. It's a fine line, because sometimes I think now I had an experience recently where I did something and I felt physically sick with fear. And, you know, I'm not an anxious person, and my body was hijacked by anxiety at this thing I was doing. I didn't enjoy it. And do you know what? I actually was able to say, no, I'm not doing this. And that felt quite scary in itself with, you know, no, I'm not doing it. And I was pleased I did it, but also slightly cross with myself that my body had given this fear reaction. And I think I'd like an opportunity to retry that activity on my own with no one watching, and just you know, just doing one bit of it over and over and over and over and over again until it lost that fear. Does that make sense? So oh, Mark has got a great one. Let me just highlight
that's what's the last scary thing I did was that.
Yeah. We did the Welsh Quarry zip wire. There was a lady there in her late 80s. It was her birthday and she was ticking off items on her bucket list. She'd never done a zip wire before and wanted to experience one. Oh, man.
I've got a tale about. I think I've mentioned this before. We know you've done it, Maxine. But when Anthony did it with our friend, I went to the cafe for coffee and cake.
Yeah. and there is the joy in a shared activity. Something for everyone there. So, you know, years ago, I don't know if I told you this, I did Go Ape years ago, and I had to be winched to safety. It was the most embarrassing time of my life. I caused a massive queue on the thing as I just didn't have the physical strength to climb up the cargo net. Oh man, it was so bad. So bad. It just
have you got any photos, Lisa?
What's that?
Have you got any photos?
No, thank goodness. I'm sure Go Ape use it as a training exercise. I'm sure they've got a video, and what they do is then show that to new people of how to deal with a woman stranded on the cargo net.
Have you ever done? We did Passage de Terror at Blackpool Pleasure Beach a few years ago, and it's, you know, where people are in costumes and they jump out from the walls, and it's really scary. And I was petrified. My heart was pounding. Our friend fell to the floor screaming. Another friend, she started crying, and they had to let her out halfway through. and you know, you think about all those people in the horror films. Don't do it. Don't go that way. And like we were doing everything that they do in the horror films.
Oh man, I don't like being scared.
No, right? I don't.
I don't like that feeling in my body of being scared. So I'm all right if I can control everything about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No cargo nets for me, that's for sure. It was bad. It was like, thank goodness I wasn't vlogging. Mick, as the role models in your life should be from real people, not those in the media spotlight. Those are falsely represented. Absolutely. And I do get that, because, you know, we're all vloggers, right? And I think we all will, you know, something goes wrong, we'll share it, and we don't, well, I don't think any of us portray this perfect life. But at the end of the day, we've all got the edit button. Do you know what I mean? So we can create that. And I know we're not celebrities, but I think, you know, Mick's right in the fact that what we see in the media and in celebrities is a snapshot, a snippet of that life. So so I
think that's why I love it, and I think you may be the same, you two, that when you hear about a celebrity, and I know we shouldn't be talking about celebrities still, but you know, we're all people at the end of the day, but when you hear a celebrity who in real life does something really nice and turns out to be really nice, it's sort of heartwarming, isn't it, that you think actually no, I was nice as they appear.
Yeah,
definitely.
Mars just put, that was you. I wonder if that was the go on. Were you in the queue behind me? Were you? Did you see me? Oh,
I'm just texting Glenn to see if there's any photographic evidence.
There is none. I'm not sure of it.
Shame.
I mean, we were all too like holding on. Oh man, that was a bad day. Anyway, last question. Well, I think we could talk for hours on this, but the last question, and I think we've covered some of this. What is the key to living and aging well? If you had to condense it, what's your roadmap? What is your roadmap for the next 20 years to ensure that you age well? Have you thought it?
Yeah,
What's that?
Work less. Work less. And I'm not saying completely retire. I think I'd still like to do shows. I'd still like to do art, but have less of that and more fun, doing things, adventure, spending time with family and friends. I think we realise as we get older as well that every year seems to go quicker, and we just like it to slow down a little bit. To give us more time to do the things that we really do enjoy. It's prioritise, isn't it? And like you said, Lisa, as well, that sometimes it's good to say no. I think we always try to please, and sometimes we're exhausted by the end of it. So, we'll get people saying, can we meet you on Saturday? Can we meet you on Sunday? Can we meet you on Monday? And we try to do that, and then we're exhausted by the end of it, and we've had no time to ourselves. And I forgot your question again, Lisa.
It's just our roadmap as we go forward, to the recipe, if you like.
Do the things that bring joy, and try to do less of the things that aren't important. Housework is important, but not at the expense of going out and enjoying yourselves. And learn to say no, but also learn to say yes. If somebody invites you out to do something and it's a bit out your comfort zone, do it. You never know, you might enjoy it.
Good points. Maxine,
I think we've discussed it lots, really, and it's going to make sure we keep doing what makes us happy. And if we're having to be selfish, then we're going to be selfish, because
no. When you say the word selfish, you're going to walk through the world in a joyful state. That's what you're going to do.
Yes. Just making sure that we carry on living our dream, and doing everything that makes us happy, but also the people around us as well, because we want to include them and make sure that we give time to as special people that make time for us as well.
For me, health is important, but not in the way. What I want to do is, and I've been thinking a lot about this over the last couple of months, I don't want to approach health from a state of being broken. Does that make sense? I don't want to approach getting older like my health isn't where I want it. I want to be, here I am, what can I do today that just completely optimizes my health? Does that make sense? It's more of a mind switch than anything physical. It's approaching health from a point of not being broken and not having to fix something, but just showing up. I don't know if that makes any sense, but in my head it does, and it's a subtle switch that I want to make. I think me and Glenn, we are trying to we're trying something new. So our life is very busy, rammed, and it's my fault. I ram it full of stuff. And we were talking the other day about the fact that of like no downtime and no time to potter. And we've decided for the next couple of months, and we're going to see how it goes. We're going to plan when we go to the boat, plan when we go to the caravan, and plan nothing else. So we want to be spontaneous. We want, if a friend says, oh, we got a barbecue or we got this, do you want to do this today? We want to be able to wake up and choose on the spur of the moment. So I don't know how that's going to go, or whether that, you know, that will work. So yeah, that's some of the things we're doing. There's some great comments here. Let me just have a read of some of these. This is a great one from Veronica. Key to aging and living well: laugh more. Absolutely. I think there's actually laughter yoga, isn't there?
There is. It's brilliant. I've done it. Yes, it's really, really good.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it. Right, Kath says, my roadmap: make the most of family and friends, and be kind to myself. Live a life a little selfishly. Yeah. And as I said, when we use that word selfishly, we just replace it with joyfully, because we are more joyful when we are doing things like that. Mick says, I am now living an ad hoc life. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Yes, there's so much to be said for simplicity. Busy Bee, really enjoyed this chat, and I agree with everything that has been shared. As a mature granny, please do the things you want to do before your body says no. Love to you all. Oh, thank you. Says, speaking of celebrities doing something nice, my eldest son has cerebral palsy, and we were fortunate to, in fact, let me share this. So, and we were fortunate enough to be invited to the red carpet of the BAFTA Awards. James McAvoy ran over and crossed the barrier to spend time with me, with my son, and chat to him. Oh, that is fabulous. That is fabulous. There was just a bit. He rounded up Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson because my son loves Harry Potter. That's fabulous. I love hearing that. As an excellent point for aging well. Drink more water. Yeah. And Mick says 60-hour working life just to survive was crazy. Now living on a tropical island. Yeah, you got it right there, haven't you? He says, Mick's actually an old neighbour of ours who's now living the life. At 50 years old, I cashed up and went to the beach. Yeah, that's good. That's it. Well, we've chatted on. I knew we would. And thank you for joining me for this subject, because this is one I've been thinking so much about over the last couple of months. So thank you so much for turning up and, you know, and sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's joined us online and who'll be watching later. Thank you. Hopefully, going forward, these will be more regular now that things are settling down a bit. Maybe not on a Wednesday, but I can see Thursday being our new preferred day. So that would be good to get regular again with these. So, yeah, thank you so very much, and hopefully we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.